Did you know that the Boeing 747, the iconic queen of the skies, recently made a surprising return to London Heathrow? Let's dive into why this legendary aircraft is making headlines again and explore its fascinating history and uncertain future. Something surprising happened recently at London Heathrow Airport involving the Boeing 747. For the first time in months, a 747 was seen there. This wasn't just any 747, it was a 747-400 model, which has become rare in today's skies. Only 4 airlines still use these planes for passengers. On March 26, 2024, a 747 operated by Lufthansa landed at Heathrow from Miami. This was unexpected because the flight was supposed to go to Frankfurt. The plane had to divert due to an onboard emergency while crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Originally, the crew planned to land in Dublin, but they changed course and landed safely at Heathrow instead. After landing, the 747 remained parked on hard stand at Heathrow for 2 hours before resuming its journey to Frankfurt. Lufthansa, still committed to operating these planes until at least the mid-2020s, remains concerned about their future role. Looking back to March 2020, just before the COVID-19 lockdowns, Heathrow had scheduled 1,242 round-trip flights for 747s. British Airways, for instance, used to fly the aircraft to JFK International in New York up to 6 times daily. However, the airline retired its entire fleet of 747s in October of that year, marking the end with a memorable final flight that was widely celebrated. Now, with the recent sightings at Heathrow, questions arise about the potential return of the Queen of the Skies. Despite its commercial decline, the 747 remains beloved among passengers and pilots alike. Many appreciated its spaciousness, which allowed airlines to innovate with new services and classes. What factors do you think could lead to a potential comeback for this iconic aircraft? But before we dive into potential solutions, let's recap the Boeing 747's fascinating history. In 1963, the United States Air Force began studying a new large transport aircraft. Despite the introduction of the C-141 Starlifter, officials felt a need for a bigger, more capable plane to carry oversized cargo. This led to the CX Heavy Logistics System requirements in March 1964, calling for an aircraft that could carry 180,000 pounds of cargo over 5,000 nautical miles at a speed of Mach 0.75. To meet these demands with only 4 engines, new high-powered, fuel-efficient engines were needed. Boeing, Douglas, Lockheed, and others submitted airframe proposals, while General Electric, Curtiss-Wright, and Pratt & Whitney proposed engines. Boeing, Douglas, and Lockheed were chosen for further development, with Boeing incorporating its nose door and raised cockpit concepts from the C-5 Galaxy military transport into the 747 design. The idea for a large airliner like the 747 emerged during the 1960s commercial jet boom, driven by the success of planes like the Boeing 707 and Douglas DC-8. Juan Trippe, president of Pan Am, one of Boeing's key customers, envisioned a jet that could carry more passengers at lower cost per mile, easing airport congestion on international routes. Boeing responded with the 747, designed not only for passengers, but also adaptable for freight, a feature that would ensure production success even if passenger sales declined. Pan Am's order for 25 Boeing 747-100s in April 1966 solidified the aircraft's future, marking it as a key player in global air travel. This early commitment allowed Pan Am to influence the aircraft's development significantly. Originally designed with a double-deck fuselage, the 747's final design featured a distinctive upper-deck hump housing the cockpit, facilitating a nose-loading door for freight, a unique feature that set it apart. Have you ever flown on a 747? Share your experience in the comments. After its debut with Pan Am in 1970, other airlines swiftly followed the example, acquiring and deploying their own 747s to remain competitive. Initially, many airlines were drawn to the 747 not only for its cargo capacity, but also for its amazing long-distance capability. However, Boeing stated that half of the early 747 purchases were to airlines that were more interested in the aircraft's range than its payload capacity. Despite its advantages, the 747 had specific economic challenges. It achieved its lowest operating costs per seat when fully loaded, but costs rose sharply as occupancy levels dropped. For instance, a 747 with only 70% of its seats occupied used nearly as much fuel as a fully packed one. Despite these drawbacks, many national carriers purchased the 747 for its prestige, even if it wasn't always the most economical choice. During the 1970s and 1980s, major airports like John F. Kennedy International Airport often hosted over 30 regularly scheduled 747s. However, the recession of 1969 and 1970 and the oil crisis of 1973 took a toll on Boeing. Sales slowed significantly during this period, with only 2 747s sold worldwide in the year and half after September 1970. As economic challenges persisted into the 1970s, some airlines struggled to fill their 747s profitably. They began replacing them with smaller, more fuel-efficient wide-body jets like the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 and Lockheed L-1011 TriStar, followed later by twin jets like the Boeing 767 and Airbus A300 and A310. American Airlines, for example, experimented with turning some of its 747s into piano bars to attract more passengers, but eventually shifted them to cargo use. In 1983, American Airlines traded its remaining 747s with Pan Am for smaller aircraft. Delta Airlines also phased out its 747s after initially operating them, only to reintroduce them briefly after acquiring Northwest Airlines in 2008, before retiring them again in 2017. The Boeing 747 made a significant impact on commercial aviation by making long-haul travel more accessible and affordable, reshaping how people flew across continents. Its unique design, catering to both passengers and cargo, also revolutionized the air cargo market. The 747's spacious cargo hold and efficient loading capabilities set new standards for transporting goods by air. However, its immense size created challenges. Airports had to modify or expand their infrastructure to accommodate the 747's dimensions, including wider runways and larger gates. Boeing itself had to build the massive Everett facility, which remains the largest building in the world by volume, to manufacture and assemble the aircraft. The 747's sheer size and presence were awe-inspiring. Pilots and passengers often described their first sight of the aircraft as love at first sight. Despite these challenges, Boeing initially planned to build only around 400 747s. Yet the aircraft's success as a freighter and the growing demand for long-haul passenger flights led Boeing to produce nearly 1,600 units across 6 variants. The 747 also played a crucial role in refining and popularizing the hub and spoke model of air travel, where passengers connect through central hubs to reach their final destinations. Do you think the hub and spoke model popularized by the 747 is still relevant in today's aviation industry? Share your thoughts. However, as consumer preferences shifted towards non-stop flights for long-haul journeys, the 747 faced challenges. Its 4-engine design, while powerful, was less fuel-efficient compared to newer twin-engine aircraft emerging in the market. This shift in fuel efficiency became a significant factor in the decline of the 747's popularity among airlines seeking to reduce operating costs and meet environmental regulations. As airlines faced declining revenues, many responded by converting the luxurious first-class cabins of the 747 into more seats, aiming to maximize passenger capacity. This practical move, however, decreased the aircraft's sense of elegance and luxury, tarnishing its image among longtime enthusiasts. Moreover, the 747 struggled with challenges such as high fuel consumption, noise emissions, and carbon footprint, which further reduced its appeal. Coming up, we'll explore if there's hope for the 747 to return to the skies. Stay tuned. While it continued to find moderate success as a freighter, Boeing ultimately ceased production of the passenger version in December of 2022, marking the end of an era. However, the 747 remains in service as a freighter and as an official government aircraft for several countries. Yet the story of the 747 may not be over. Boeing has a history of reviving old designs, as seen with the 737 MAX, despite its challenges. Now, Boeing is exploring possibilities with the 777X program, potentially reviving the 747 under a similar strategy. The Everett facility, originally built for the 747's production, remains operational, preserving expertise and machinery that could support a 747 revamp. Revamping the 747 would require significant changes to enhance fuel efficiency, starting with reducing the number of engines from 4 to 2. This reduction would require installing more powerful modern engines capable of effectively powering such a massive aircraft. Boeing would also likely need to modify the fuselage to improve aerodynamics, thereby reducing weight and enhancing maneuverability to further increase efficiency. Do you think Boeing should invest in reviving the 747 with modern engines and aerodynamic improvements, or focus on developing entirely new aircraft models? However, these upgrades would come at a considerable cost. To justify such an investment, there would need to be substantial demand for the revamped 747. One potential market could be airlines like Emirates, which still operate extensive hub-and-spoke models. For these airlines, a revamped 747 with new twin engines could offer a useful alternative to their current fleet strategies. Emirates, for example, operates the Airbus A380, an even larger aircraft that may consume more fuel than a modernized 747. By upgrading to a revamped 747, Emirates could potentially achieve comparable capacity and range while benefiting from improved operational efficiency and lower fuel consumption. Ultimately, the decision to pursue a revamped 747 would depend on market demand and the ability to achieve sufficient cost savings and performance improvements. Engaging anecdote. Boeing's Everett facility was literally built around the development of the 747, and it still exists today. Production only stopped in the early 2020s, which means expertise and machinery would still be on hand to deliver a revamp of the aircraft. While Boeing may not be actively pursuing the revamp of the 747 in the near future due to financial constraints and market uncertainties, the iconic aircraft still holds a special place in aviation. Lufthansa, a German carrier, has notably revived its use of the 747 by reintroducing 8 of its 747-400s into service in 2021. This move has positioned Lufthansa as the world's largest operator of passenger 747s, alongside its active fleet of 747-8 intercontinental jets. Despite Lufthansa's leading use, other airlines in Asia also maintain a small number of 747-400s in their fleets. Asiana Airlines, Air China, and Mahan Air each operate a single 747-400 when compared with Lufthansa's more extensive deployment. This difference shows the limited future prospects of the 747 for passenger travel, with its role increasingly niche. Yet, a new niche seems to be emerging for the 747 as a flying museum, offering passengers the opportunity to experience the nostalgia and glory of flying on this classic jet could appeal to aviation enthusiasts and those seeking a unique travel experience. As airlines transition to more modern, fuel-efficient aircraft, the 747 could find a second life as a cultural and historical icon, preserving its legacy in the skies. However, Boeing has signaled that it does not plan to develop a new aircraft until the mid-2030s, drawing attention to ongoing challenges and the need to prioritize safety and operational improvements over rapid expansion. But what are these reasons? Before we dive into that, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth aviation content. The company has faced notable issues with its aircraft models, including the 737 MAX, 777X, and 787 Dreamliner, which have been marred by incidents and safety concerns. These challenges have led to scrutiny of Boeing's production processes and management, leading to leadership changes and calls for a renewed focus on safety and quality. The incident involving the Boeing 737 MAX 9 in January of 2024, where a door plug blew during an Alaska Airlines flight over Portland, Oregon, highlighted significant safety concerns with Boeing's operations. This event, exacerbated by a series of subsequent safety issues and regulatory scrutiny, has severely impacted public confidence in Boeing aircraft. The Federal Aviation Administration responded by temporarily grounding Boeing 737 MAX 9s after the incident, showing the seriousness of the safety lapses. The door plug, designed to seal an unused emergency exit, malfunctioned mid-flight, leading to objects being sucked out of the aircraft and causing minor injuries. The incident was captured on video by passengers, further amplifying its impact on public perception. Boeing spokesperson Connor Greenwood emphasized that Boeing is actively addressing these issues through immediate changes and a comprehensive action plan to strengthen safety and quality assurance. Transparency has been a key component of Boeing's response, with the goal of rebuilding trust with customers and passengers affected by the incidents. John Barnett, a former Boeing quality control engineer, alleged in a whistleblower lawsuit that Boeing forced him into retirement after he raised concerns about safety issues. His testimony gained widespread attention, especially after his untimely death, which the local coroner ruled as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. While there's no public evidence of foul play, Barnett's death has sparked intense discussion and condemnation on social media platforms. The spotlight on Boeing intensified further with the revelation that the door plug incident on the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 occurred due to missing bolts securing the plug to the fuselage. Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun described this as a quality escape, hinting at internal lapses in quality control processes. Critics have pointed fingers at cost-cutting measures, stock buybacks, and operational incompetence with Boeing, further eroding public trust. In March, another alarming incident added to Boeing's problems when a 265-pound wheel detached from a United Airlines Boeing 777 shortly after takeoff from San Francisco International Airport. The wheel crashed through a fence and damaged several cars in a nearby parking lot. The flight, bound for Osaka, Japan, was diverted to Los Angeles and landed safely. Notably, the aircraft involved had been in service for decades, suggesting the incident may not directly reflect recent safety standards or manufacturing lapses at Boeing. Most recently, a Boeing 787 operated by LATAM Airlines experienced severe turbulence, causing significant injuries among passengers. Reports indicate that at least 50 people were hurt, with 10 passengers and 3 cabin crew members requiring hospitalization after the flight made an emergency landing. Passengers described a sudden drop in altitude that resulted in many hitting their heads against the plane's ceiling. What do you think should be Boeing's top priority right now? Safety improvements, operational changes, or developing new aircraft? Boeing's response to these incidents has been closely examined. Connor Greenwood, a spokesman for Boeing, expressed concern for the passengers and crew of Flight LA-800 and pledged support for investigation-related activities. However, these assurances come against a backdrop of escalating safety concerns and multiple incidents involving Boeing aircraft. Earlier in the year, Boeing faced engine fire incidents, including one in January where sparks were seen shooting from a Boeing 747 and another in March where flames emerged from an engine mid-flight on a Boeing 737-900. Adding to Boeing's challenges, the Department of Justice has reportedly launched an investigation into the door plug incident, questioning whether Boeing violated previous settlements related to the crashes of Boeing 737 MAX planes in 2018 and 2019, which claimed 346 lives. NPR reported Boeing's claim that it had been unable to locate documents related to the January door plug incident, further complicating the investigation and maintaining negative publicity for the company. Today, the 747's role is largely confined to cargo operations, where its spacious design and ability to carry large loads still hold value for logistics companies. Even in this capacity, its dominance is waning as newer freighter models offer superior efficiency and operational flexibility. As Boeing navigates its future, focusing on advancing safety, sustainability, and innovation will be crucial. The challenges and lessons learned from the 747's lifecycle underscore the need for aerospace manufacturers to continually evolve and meet the evolving demands of global aviation. Thanks for joining us on this gripping journey through the events surrounding the Boeing 747. If you enjoyed the ride, subscribe for more thrilling tales and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, make sure your seatbelt is fastened and tray tables are up. Safe travels and happy subscribing.